years. Next, I'm going to bring up a gentleman I have not really met. I don't think I've met him yet. Maybe I did at an event or something. I'm not really 100% sure and all. And but I spoke with him briefly on the phone there, and he seems like a really nice guy and all. But ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Mr. Barry Stewart. There you go, sir. How you doing?
Hey, Johnny. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it, and very outstanding information from the doc on some of that hydration and things. And great tips that I know will be extremely valuable moving forward with my team. So I appreciate the opportunity to hear the great things he had to say and for your presentation with him this morning.
Thanks so much. You know, Dr. Lucas is a gem. I mean, we've been working together for about 8 years or so, and he's just right on. He's just very sharp, very intelligent. He's really done a lot for the fight community. I want to ask you a little bit about you, because I don't really know you. So let's just start right there. Tell me a little bit about who Mr. Barry Stewart is.
Born and raised in New York. You know, went into the United States Marine Corps with this notion that I would box for the Marine Corps team. I was an amateur fighter. I fought New York City Golden Gloves a bunch of times, and went into the Marine Corps on the advice of my coach, who was a former Marine Corps boxing champ. Right. So went in there and found out, you know, there's a lot of 4, 5, 6-time Golden Glove champs from New Orleans and Chicago, and so competition was tough. Needless to say, I got some boxing in there, but I never actually fought for the team. But I got to spar with a lot of those guys, work out with them, and be partners as far as getting them prepared for competition. So it was a lot of fun coming up through that. And then I fast forward, I got a career in law enforcement, started having my family, and I worked in corrections. I worked for the state and the federal government in Florida in corrections, different various prisons, males, females, criminally insane. I ran the whole gamut, juveniles. Oh. So it gave me a good perspective on things that were going on. 2010, I started with the sheriff's office in Putnam County, and I approached the sheriff at that time and asked him if he would be willing to start a police athletic league, which we know are very prevalent up, Northeast, and especially in New York. They're on every corner. Right. So they didn't have an existing PAL, but the sheriff said, well, we can do it, but we don't have a lot of funding. So I said, well, if you can continue to pay me, we can raise money. And it was an absolute a blessing, Johnny. It became a ministry for me. Honestly, I fell in love with the community, the opportunity to embrace these kids that were coming from single parent households, and a lot of kids coming out of the courts. They would feed us children, that boys, girls that would come out of the court systems, misdemeanors. And we built this family, if you will, a boxing team, but more of a family, and we got entrenched. And so from 2010 to 2019, we just blew this thing up. And so we traveled kids around the country. We have national champions. We had a core of 12 kids that were just, 70, 80 amateur fights. So we built the base of what we have now, which we didn't know we would get to this point. But so we're very enthusiastic. We had a great fan base, the families and parents, very supportive. And we raised money in a community that was very hard. It was Putnam County in Florida. It's there's a lot of issues over there, a lot of adversity and things going on. But man, we've overcome so much, John, by the grace of God. God's been involved in this program. He's the root of where we started. He's the root of what we are now. We're not perfect people. Everybody makes mistakes. Our kids have tripped up, but for the most part, they've remained faithful. They know when push comes to shove, they got to get on those knees. And so we thank God right now. And we ended up with, I got 6 professionals now that I raised since they were 11 years old. So it's really, when I say it's a homegrown, I don't just mean Florida. I mean, like, this is homegrown, our team. So it's very special, very, very special. These kids are like my sons, So.
Yeah. I kind of get that impression. I'm a little curious though about, boxing is such a tough sport, right? There's a lot of things that you can introduce people to other than boxing. Was it just the climate or the cultural situation that you were in that boxing kind of was it for you? But what attracted you to not just you trying it, but maybe a door for some of these young fighters?
Well, we have, I probably have 90% minority population. So a lot of times with these kids, there's this edgy side to them, and the boxing is an appeal. You know, it's a tough sport. It's an opportunity for them to show their bravado, if you will. And so they embrace that. They a lot of them liked it back. They liked that boxing. It was an outlet. You had kids that had, ADHD and, different types of diagnosis. And so the heavy bag, the running, the extreme individuality of it. Although you were a team, it's an individual sport. So they got an opportunity to know if they worked hard that they would rise up, So they embraced that, and they trained and they pushed each other. And they saw that light at the end of the tunnel. They saw that, John, in 10 years, we maybe had 3 kids that have backslid and ended up in the system, whether it's in prison now but very, very, very few. And so that's the grace of God, and that's the success. Not so much the boxing. I'm proud of the boxing, but I'm more proud of the men that they've become. They all have jobs. Who's married now? Who has children? It's just phenomenal to watch the growth and the things that you can have. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of prayer.
Right. Okay, good. So you kind of use it as a tool, right?
Yes, sir.
To, basically make them better people, better men, right? And strive in life, and obviously bring them, more into a faith life. Is that a life of faith? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Which is certainly a good thing. No doubt about that. I'm kind of curious, and I want to talk a little bit about Christy and her show coming up in just a little bit. But while we're on these subjects, I want to go ahead and kind of dig just a little bit. Johnny Davis Live, real talk with real solutions. It's something about your face. When I see your face, I see something. I see wisdom. I see knowledge, but I also see some pain.
Yeah.
It seems that you really care a lot about whatever you get into. You really put your all into it.
That's you're a good mind reader, John.
Am I kind of reading you correctly?
Yeah, you're on the space, man. You're right on it. You're on the point.
So tell me about, what is it that, after what you've been through in your life thus far, that would make you want to so passionately give back to the community?
Well, I've had a lot of ups and downs. Come from a family with a lot of adversity, dad situations. My dad was an alcoholic, and so but my mom came from Sicily. We had an amazing upbringing by her, but it was very hard not having my dad actually in the picture with us. He lived with us, but it was that kind of situation. And so I was able to really relate to a lot of our kids, because out of our core family, there wasn't one kid on my core fighting boxing group that had their natural dad in the home. And I just found that to be amazing, so, so you wear the many hats, and, you're the dad, you're the grandfather, you're the mentor, you whatever they need you to be, right. At that point. So I saw that as an opportunity to give back, because I knew how it felt to be younger and not be afforded the opportunities to be involved in sports, because we had no money, to not be able to have nice clothes, to not be able to.
Tell me really quick, how does it feel?
It feels bad. It feels, you almost don't know you're in it when you're in it, Johnny. Like, I didn't know I was poor, until we would have cans of peanut butter from the government, and my friends would come over and they'd say, well, why is your mom using that can of peanut butter? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, what is that? I'm like,
oh, can of
peanut big butter. Government can,
right.
The big can of peanut butter and the big blocks of cheese. But I didn't realize that I didn't find it as a detriment as far as learning, as far as the ability of going into the Marine Corps, becoming a law enforcement officer. I never let that ever be an obstacle for me. I never used that as an excuse to not be able to come up. So I don't allow these guys to tell me, hey, look, I've been sleeping on the floor for 5 years. I don't have a room. I don't have this. We struggle. We have 10 kids in a household. I tell them, I understand and I sympathize with you, but that's not an excuse to lay low. Stick your head out of that. Get out of that. It's generational things happen, but you got the right and the ability, and you hold that in your hand to change. If you want to make the change, make it. So I feel like God put me here to kind of lead them. 2019, I had to resign from the sheriff's office because I was in a really bad accident. I lost my leg. So that was probably the most traumatic thing I've ever had to deal with, because I was 61 and I was very aggressive. I was always in with the kids and in the gym and moving and training, actual trainer, and I lost my leg. So
what did you learn most? So you went through that ordeal, and I'm sure there's a lot of psychological things that you feel in losing a limb. I can only I can only imagine. What do you think it was? I mean, I know your faith has really, really helped you out a lot.
Yeah.
But what else was it that you think you might have called on to help you pull through that you can maybe tell someone else today who's going through a tough time, right, that they can pull through and that there is light at the end of the tunnel?
The main thing is to keep an understanding of it's okay. You're gonna go through hills and valleys, and when you're in that low point, it's okay to be in there, but you can't live in there. You have to come out of that. You can address your feelings, and you can have your little cry session. It's okay. But I have an amazing, amazing wife and family that are just unbelievable, that have been here with me. I mean, my wife, my goodness, man, I couldn't have made it through this without her, John. She's amazing. And my sisters and all my family and friends. But I had that core, but also I always knew, okay, cry, go ahead, get it out. You lost your leg. I get it. But you have your life. You lost your leg, but I wasn't really supposed to make it out of that. And so I take it as a blessing that my life is spared. Let's keep it moving. So I tell people, although you may feel like the situation you're in is an absolute bottom, it's not, because as long as you keep your feet moving forward and you tell yourself tomorrow will be a better day than the next day, you can do it. Surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with ideas, keep networking with others that are in a similar situation. I'm an amputee coalition. I talk to those folks, and I try to show people, like, all right, so I lost a leg, but you know what? I'm back up on it. I got my prosthetic. Let's keep it moving. So I think there's always that opportunity for you to get back on your feet, and it's all a mindset and it's a condition of the heart.
I have this thing that I call the fighter within.
What was that again?
I have this thing that I call, this segment that I do on my show, which is what we're into right now, believe it or not, is called the fighter within.
Yes.
And I want you to maybe dive a little bit into that, perhaps how you kind of related this to the time you were trying to be a fighter, the fighters that we train now, and being a fighter through this very tough time that you went through when you lost your leg.
It's all molded into one. It's where you were, what happened to you, and what was the outcome, and now what are you moving forward with? And with my guys, we've incrementally we've climbed. I have Benny Aguilar, that's the he's the main event on Christy's card. He's 7-0. This kid, came from all kinds of adversity as a youngster, rose up out of it and told him, listen, man, look where we're at. Look at this. How amazing is this? Christy Martin Promotions signed you from Little Crescent City, Florida. No one even heard of that place. And now we have 6 pros, and they're all like brothers. It's amazing. They're Mexican descent. They're tough guys, tough bravado. But you know what, John? When I got in that accident, every one of them, my wife told me after, were all in that hospital crying their eyes out, which showed me is a testament of what we built through time. And so now they're so proud of where they're at, and they're so thankful and grateful, and they work hard. Every night we're working hard to be the best that we can be. Whether it's a champ, who knows? I don't know. Everybody started somewhere, right?
Right.
We all started somewhere. So we're just pushing it. We're pushing it. We're staying connected. They all signed with me, Pitbull's management, Pitbull's Unleashed Management Company. And I signed all these boys because I want to make sure that I take care of them, Johnny. I want to make sure that this is a hard sport to be in. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of wheels turning. I want to make sure that they're protected to the best of my ability. So
are you looking? Yeah, I'm sorry. But are you looking at the other side? A lot of times that, we get so involved and engulfed in fighting that we forget about the other side. You're a smart man, I can tell. Right? How are you helping them see that, okay, what you might not get Floyd Mayweather's money. You might not ever reach Canelo's status, right, and stuff like that. But because boxing is so tough, and there's only a few that's going to make it.
That's right.
That's the reality. Are you feeding it to them for real talk, if you will, as opposed to, listen, you know what? There's going to be a part where you're going to go up and then you're going to go down. You got to know when you're going down and know when to say when. Are you having those real kind of conversations with these young fighters?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. We never, ever talk dollars, ever. It's just not something we talk about. You know, they get a little bit money. They're 4 round to 6 round, and their money is managed by me. They've learned to save money from what they get. They've had to, their money pays for their uniforms. They don't have handouts. You know, they're working. And so they've understood, you know, we go 6 in a hotel room. We get 1 room, there's 6 of us in there sleeping. You know, we've learned, we know how valuable it is to be where they're at. And right now, all they want to do is to keep climbing. They know the money may never come. And like you said, Johnny, this isn't for everybody. You're going to have guys drop off. I got 6. That doesn't mean I'm going to have 6 next year.
Right.
All we can do is move them the proper way, guide them, have good promotional opportunities. We have Undisputed Promotions and Christy Martin Promotions that are my main promotional guys right now. And so John, they come to my house. They see how I live. They're around my family. They're around my wife. My wife loves them like her own kids. They eat here. And so we try to set an example in and out of the ring. I only allow them to be around. I don't have trainers that, you know, turn on the loud cuss music. I don't want to do that. I want to be something different. I don't believe that all that craziness and showboat makes you any better. Show up in the ring. Don't worry about all of that other stuff. Show up in the ring. And that's what we aim to do.
I think that is a vital lesson. Something I always try to tell people, that, you know, fighting is a lot more, you know, outside of the ring as it is inside of the ring. And those things that you do on the outside of the ring will certainly roll over to the inside of the ring, you know, and vice versa. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So really quick here, also, let's talk about, how did you meet Christy Martin?
Christy Martin was having some shows down here in Florida, and we got an opportunity to just talk. And I said, can I put a guy on your show? And she said, sure, that would be, you know, meet him. And so we had Benigo Aguilar, who his name, he likes to go by Tony, but we call him, his name's Benny. And so we met with Christy. He fought once for her. She really liked him. We were able to get him on her card again in South Carolina and once in Florida. And she just, they just clicked. You know, her style of fighting was like Benny. He's a pit bull. He's a hardcore Mexican coming forward, bang, bang, bang. You know, just like you got to hit him with a sledgehammer to stop him. And that was Christy. So Christy offered us an opportunity to sign with Christy Martin Promotions, and we were thrilled. You know, we were thrilled with the opportunity to bring Benny on, and now he's with her. He's 7-0. And I have a lot of faith in Christy Martin Promotions that she will move him the way that he needs to be moved. You know, there's no rush. He's 22 years old. You know, so he's not one of these these amateur guys that had, you know, a lot of pedigree. He had 80 fights, and he's been to nationals many a times, but he wasn't on the Olympic team or anything like that. But the kid can fight.
And that's the bottom line. Now, I don't know who's who. You sent me a couple of pictures and everything and all. And so maybe you can tell me a little bit about who this is.
Sure.
Hold on. Let me get him back up there on the screen there. I got to figure out which one is he. Guy, where is he? He had on some red trunks there. He kind of came up and went back down. but that's okay.
What is he?
Let's talk about this guy. Let's talk about this guy right here, the big heavyweight.
Okay, that's Julio Mendoza. He happens to be Benny's uncle. You know, long story short, he came into the program just to watch his nephew, who was 12, and he wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing anything crazy or
right.
The kid. So he came in as basically eyes and ears for Benny's mom, which is his sister. Ended up just liking it, man. Hung around, got the sport, and just started staying with us. And boxed, had about 15 amateur fights, not too many. And then I turned him pro. He had one fight, and he lost. And he learned a valuable lesson from it. But he was out of the ring 4 years. 2021, fast forward, we're at Benny's fight. He's helping me coach. Christy Martin's there. She likes him as a person. I said he wants to get back in. Can you give him a shot? She said, I'll tell you what, I'll let him fight in Myrtle Beach. He came in first round knockout. He trained so hard. I mean, he trained like crazy to get ready for the fight. So now he's back, and Christy's actually given him an opportunity. They've inked him. And so he's with Christy Martin Promotions. He'll be having his second fight February 5th. He's an exciting fighter. I mean,
good.
The guy is a beast. And you know what the greatest thing about him, Johnny, is at 16 years old, he got really jammed up. He's running with the wrong people.
Right.
Did a lot, what I consider a lot of time for a kid that age. Went away and got out. And you know, since he's been with this program 2010, this kid has not returned to jail, has not done anything like that. You know, and I'm so proud of that, and so proud of him for getting his life together, keeping it together. And you know, everybody got their things, Sean. Everybody likes to party a little bit, getting this. He's a rough guy, but you know, all in all, man, to total line the way he did, considering the background, where he came from, the friends that he had, the guy has gotten himself together. He's got a wonderful girlfriend. He's got a nice family, and 2 beautiful teenage boys. So, yeah, you know, these success stories aren't always in the ring. They're you know, they're in and out. Right. So isn't that the beauty of it, though, you know?
Yeah, no, it really is. You know, there's a lot of life lessons that you learned in the ring. What about this young man here?
Now, the third guy would be Amante Haynes, and he's the African-American kid. Man, this kid, you know, another guy struggles, you know, just wanders into the gym one day. Hey, I want to get, you know, I want to fight, and I want to box. Tall, skinny, lank, drink of water. I said, all right, yeah, come on in. You know, and he was probably 14. And so it's been 8 years with him. And man, I've watched this kid, you know, he kind of raised himself a lot of years, you know, very, very tough situation. Lived with grandfather, you know, and man, got himself in a little bit jam, you know, was with a young lady. And, you know, so he's been through some ups and downs. But man, talking about a guy weathering the storm. Since he's 16 years old, this kid has never not had a job. Always worked while he was in school. Works as a roofer now. Comes right from roofing, drives an hour and a half to the gym to train every night. You know, these guys, you know, and John, it's gas money, it's time, it's expense. You've been on a roof all day. And then you come to the gym. And let me tell you, I'm going to kill you when you get to that gym. Yeah. So they know what they're in for. But God has just managed to keep them strong, mind, body, and soul, and focused.
Right.
And so whether they're focused on being a boxing champ or whether they're focused on being a life champ, they're exceeding all expectations for me. And I think they've been very successful at both up to this point.
Right. Well, there was another guy who had a picture. I can't find it right now, but
little short guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Big Ego Aguilar. He's you know, like I said with Benny, you know, Benny is just an amazing kid. You know, he's tried he graduated high school, went to college, and started thinking he was going to be like a X-ray tech. It was a little hard for him. You know, it was hard. It was very challenging.
Right.
And so he went back to what he does. He does construction. He works heavy equipment. And another guy, I mean, at 14, he was laying concrete.
Right,
you know, I mean, lifting bricks, cinder blocks. You know, very strong, tough kid, a good attitude, very respectful kid. Like anybody else, he's 22, so you know you're going to get a rough side of him every now and then. I got to reel him back in, John. You know, because they can get a little wild on me, so I got to pull them back. You know,
right. And I think, but you know, you're being a great mentor. I think that is so important for them. They might not realize it as much right now. Yes. As they will a little bit later in their lives, how important you are to them, or were to them at the time when they're, you know, a little bit more age, if you will, and wisdom, and you're passing on that wisdom to them. And I think that is just something that's really great. That's why my show, I talk about real talk and real solutions, because it's more than just coming on and talking about punching people in the face, right?
Yes.
It is about who you are as a person.
Absolutely, John. You know, boxing is a great sport. I love it. I've met some good people, some bad people. The Florida is amazing. It's so cool because a lot of the kids that we came up with and their dads that coach them are now pros. So when you go to the pro events, we're in an A-side locker room. We got all these kids, and it's a family. It's a great thing. There's some amazing guys here, great fighters from the state of Florida, and it's just nice, man, to move on with these guys, to see everybody get to that next level. And I pray for everybody, you know, to be successful, and whether it's in or out of the ring, you know, I try to be there for folks. You know, I got very involved in the USA Boxing for president for a little while, but needs to be more improved. You know, got 9 grandkids, and we have 7 children between us, my wife and myself.
Wow!
So we're you know, we're quite active on the family tip. You know, so
right. But
so
you know what? But there's nothing like, you know, a family. You know, I mean, obviously sometimes I did this thing, and we have to close out here, but about the movie Bruised. You know, with the Holly Berry, and I did this whole thing. You got to go check it out. It's on YouTube and stuff, about fighting and how we are all bruised and how we all have gone through difficult times, and we all have had, you know, ambitions to try to do things, and maybe had failures and shortcomings and things like that. So we're all bruised, right? But we still move forward. One of my favorite speeches or sayings is forward march. You'll hear me say that all the time, and that's everything that I do. So we have to find a way to move forward, regardless whether we lose a leg, we lose an arm, right? Whether we get beat up, whether we fall short. Every single day we wake up with a purpose. We wake up with a goal. It's forward march and all. Amen, and so you're one of these great inspirations that I love to talk to. And I knew that you would be a good conversation piece just by that little conversation I had with you on the phone that morning.
Thank you, John.
I knew it would be good. I want you to keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to meeting you on February 5th. We'll be there with our live streaming and everything. And I wish all of your fighters the best. Tell them to stay strong, keep training. We're going to be chatting with them. Me and Derek Reams, my co-host, will be chatting with them there and everything. So we definitely look forward to seeing you on February 5th in St. Augustine, Florida.
Thank you, Johnny. God bless, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.